Sunday. And, it's just been a wonderful saving grace, I think, for everybody who has become part of this.
Right, but
Thank you.
a thank you goes to every one of you who make this happen every day. Debbie and Toby work really hard, and the rabbi teaches and she prepares every day, but it's really the group of people that come on every day that make this happen and make it a community.
Well, that's very gracious of you, but you provide this outlet for us, and you've made it into something very special.
Yeah,
I agree.
I wish we could get more people on,
What's really cool too is that I think it took a lot of the loneliness out, because you really felt like you were with people, even though it was just on Zoom. And then to go on other programs and to see the same faces there is really cool. Like, I'm always like, oh, I know that one. I know, it's really nice to feel like you guys are around you all the time.
Well, when I was watching the Zoom Riyadh video yesterday, realizing that except for knowing Raisel's voice on the phone when I called the office, I didn't know anybody on that video when we were making it. And now I know almost everybody. So it's just, and you're right, you go to different meetings and you see different people. By the way, the sign-up genius has been updated for April. So sign away.
You mean stuff?
I see on Jeanette Brownstein's square, I see, she just turned it off. I see Samuel Shy. Oh, yeah. There he is again. Oh, he's a little guy.
Oh,
Goodness.
Oh.
I don't see him. Wait, where is he?
Oh, he's so little.
You can mostly see the blanket with the little head on the top.
Yeah, he's so small.
He's very tiny. He was over a month early.
But he looks beautiful.
You forget it can be so small.
You forget from one baby to the next how tiny they are.
Yeah.
And they grow up so quickly.
Thank you for sharing that, Jeanette. I enjoyed that.
I didn't know.
I am missing my grandchildren. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Likewise.
FaceTime is just not doing it for me.
Jeanette, bring him to all
No,
the
I
meetings.
agree. That's why we moved.
Me too. Across the country.
Very hard. Very, very
Yeah,
hard.
very hard.
Oh, this is
So
I
it
have a grandchild in Miami whose birthday is today.
Happy
I have to-
birthday.
Yeah, I have to wish him, he's turned 4. And I have to, you can't hug, you can't kiss. Very difficult.
What's his name, Corinne?
Ben.
Okay, live on Facebook. Happy birthday to Ben.
Oh,
All right.
Yay.
So it is 12, and I am, excuse me, I'm going to mute everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I know many of you watched on Facebook again. If you hadn't seen it yesterday, you had the opportunity to see it on Facebook. And if you're like me, you watched it anyway a second time. Rabbi just posted that she put it on her Facebook page. I put it on mine. It's on the Women's League Facebook page. So if you're friends with any of us, you'll be able to see it. And you should all be friends with Women's League. So please go to the Women's League Facebook page if you're on Facebook and put us in. Okay, so thank you a little bit to Jeanette for sharing your baby with us. And we hope everyone is well and healthy. It's a nice day. Most of the United States, I don't know about Canada, you can share that with us, but most of us are having good weather. A little bit of wind on the West Coast yesterday. I think it's pretty warm. I think we're doing all right. The light at the end of the tunnel. We're coming towards Pesach. Many of us are talking about shopping and cooking and getting ready and cleaning. And, it's interesting how some weeks we talk about one topic, and this week already we're talking about food, Passover food. It's all about the food. So we'll continue that conversation and share tips with each other where we can get gluten-free matzah and all of those other things. So I understand that if, who said it? Regina, if you're Regina's child, you get a care package mailed to you in the mail. So anybody want to sign up to be Regina's child, go right ahead. Okay, Rabbi, take it away.
Thank you. Good to see everybody. And also know that the program from yesterday is shareable.
which means that you can share it to your own page, which is what Debbie did. Arlene Fisher, I believe, was able to do it and share it on her sisterhood page. So it's, oh, I know you shared it too? Awesome. So it's really a good way to tell people about what we're doing at Women's League. I had a friend call me yesterday who I didn't even know. She goes through her husband's Facebook page and she watched it yesterday. Who I had no idea. She's like, I've watched you a few times. I'm like, really? I never knew that. And I've met other friends who tell me that every day at noon they get a update that we're live. So it's a great way for everyone to find out what Women's League is doing. I'm going to figure out if we can post the slides from yesterday. So on our website. So if people want that, I just have to get approval for that. And we can share it all. And you'll be seeing shortly the messages that were written yesterday too, the personal reflections. So it's incredible to think it's been a year and how many friendships and relationships have been created. And I think that, Rita, you said it, you said it beautifully, that you used a phrase that we wouldn't necessarily use in 2020. I think I wrote it down. Yesterday was a culmination of a great year. And many people can't say that 2020 was a great year, but being together with our sisters created a great year. So thank you, Rita, and everyone who participated. So today we have Dina Gordon, who will be singing Mishaberach for us. And Dina, please do pause between the paragraphs so we can say the names of our loved ones individually.
Mishaberach Avotenu Makor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu Mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Yasha Kochech, thank you for leading us in singing the Mishaberach. And today's Tuesday, Psalm 82. And it looks in my notes that Karen Weiner and Dina Gordon are reading it responsively.
A Psalm of Asaph. God rises in the court of the mighty, pronouncing judgment over the judges.
How long will you pervert justice? How long will you favor the wicked? Selah.
Champion the weak and the orphan. Uphold the downtrodden and destitute.
Rescue the weak and the needy. Save them from the grip of the wicked.
But they neither know nor understand. They wander about in darkness while the earth's foundations are shaken.
I thought you were godlike, children of the Most High.
But you will die like mortals, like any prince will you fall.
Arise, O God, and judge the earth, for your dominion is over all nations.
Yasha Kochachen to both of you. Thank you for leading us today. So we're now up to chapter 5 of Pirkei Avot. I've been doing the odd chapters, and those who volunteer for the other days are doing chapter 4, so we can keep track of a little bit. You'll see chapter 5 is very different in writing and setup and how it's organized than all the other chapters. The other chapters are usually It's like an anthology of all the best rabbis out there during the Mishnaic period, that they're always like, this rabbi said this, and even if it didn't say the rabbi's name, it said Hu Omer or Hu Amar, and you can assume that the person right before that was the same rabbi, and it was a list of accredited comments from rabbis. Now in chapter 5, it's actually not ascribed to a specific person. It's just comments that are given anonymously, and they're all arranged in a certain way, each of the teachings in chapter 5, according to numbers. It's like a numeric mnemonic device. So the first couple are listings of different things related to the number 10. Then we go to 7, then we go to 4. In Judaism, numbers are very important. If you think 7 is a lot, we wrap the tefillin 7 times on our arms, 7 days of the week. The matriarchs and the patriarchs are 7. 10, of course, is a minyan. Just think next week when it's Pesach at the end of the week, on Saturday night, 4 is a big number at the Seder. So we start with 10, and why did they do this? Because if we remember back then, they didn't have books. They didn't have printed books. It was all an oral tradition, and you had to memorize everything. So if you have 10 things together, it's easier to memorize it. It's a great way to just keep it in your mind. So that world was created, it says, with 10 utterances, the world was created. And what does this teach? For surely it could have been created with one utterance, but this was so in order to punish the wicked who destroy the world that was created with 10 utterances, and to give a good reward to the righteous who maintain the world that was created in 10 utterances. Utterances in Hebrew is ma'amarot. So think about it. God created the world. Quite frankly, if God is all powerful, God could have created the world in one day and in one shot. But instead, it says that God created it in 10 words. So where do they get this idea, 10 phrases? Vayomer, and God said, is found in chapters 1 and 2 of the book of Genesis at the beginning. It's actually, though, that there are 9 statements in the book, first chapter, and then the 1 and 2:18. And then some also say that the 10th statement of how God was created the world goes back to our beginning of our studies when we did Psalms, in Psalms 33, chapter 33, verse 6, by the word of Adonai were the heavens made. So that's where they get the 10 idea from. Rashi suggests that these 10 statements indicates God's labor in the creation of the world. Maimonides said that he argues that each statement was given to indicate the majesty of the created world. And what are these 10 of other ideas? The 10 generations from Adam to Noah, which is in chapter 5, and the 10 generations from Noah to Abraham, which was really began with Shem, Noah's son, in chapter 11. And how do we create, what is the righteousness that one receives in terms of the reward? Who is that referring to? Abraham, and Abraham's righteousness that was in the 10th generation. So what are the ideas that comes into this is the importance of words and the importance of what we say. And if we're supposed to emulate God, then we should make sure that whatever we say is special and important and said nicely. And the last part, it's saying the same thing, basically, that not the same thing, but a wicked person can do 10 things and destroy the world. A good person can do 10 things and just, it's righteous and it's a good reward. So how special and important are our words and what we say? So it's not only what we say, but how we say it. It's like if you ever get the backwards comment, your hair looks good today. You can say it totally fine, great, or did my hair look like ugly yesterday? That it's good today. It's all of how we say something. I've seen teachers give feedback to a student, and depending on how they say it, or feedback to anybody, it doesn't have to be a student-teacher relationship, any relationship. Depending on how you say it is how it will be received. And of course, we're talking about the ultimate words of God creating the world. But think about our own, that we're creating the world too each day. We're partners in the creation and creation of relationships. And what we say is so important that we have to emulate the divine in how we speak. It's both the physical mind when we're speaking and the spiritual self. I can think about, there are certain words and things that could just be triggers to people. And depending on how you word it, it can be well received or it could be a trigger to somebody. So we should try to be the righteous person to bring divineness and sacredness in all of our discussions. Our deeds are also in relationship to our words, that we have to walk the walk and talk the talk, and it should be equal in what we say. And it's a moral challenge in the way, because of course we bring it to modern day, at least American law, the First Amendment right. We have freedom of speech, but some of the freedom of speech, you don't necessarily want to hear everybody. What happens when someone uses so much freedom of speech that it's harming and it's not helpful? And it's the moral challenge to not only guard what we say, but watch how we speak, even though we do have the First Amendment right to say what we want. So think about what thoughts occupy our mind as we open our lips. It's one thing that we often learn, not everything that comes to our head has to come out of our mouth. So we have to see, is what we're saying true, honest? Is it harmful to me, harmful to what I'm saying, harmful to the person listening? What ideas do we want to contribute to the world in positivity? There's always a way to give positive feedback and not always the negative feedback so that it's heard better. And I'm just looking at all the different notes I have on this. And each day, we should think about the value of speech and promoting holiness in our life. And think about the very beginning that this Mishnah teaches of who or what had the first speech, Vayomer Adonai, that God was the first to really put words out there to create the world, and the creation began with God, but we're creating it every day as God's partners in this creation each day. And it couldn't happen just once. It happens 10 times that God said it. So each of us too should remember that our tasks we might think need to happen quickly and with one utterance, but it takes stages each time. Even God had to have 7 days and 10 utterances to create this great world that we continue creating every day. So any thoughts about the holiness of our words and our speech and the ongoing process of creation?
I'll say something.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Donna Burkett, by the way. I come on, but I really don't talk that much, so I don't know if a lot of people don't know me and a few people do. So I'm saying hello. But I just put in the chat that I had an uncle who his words were very strong in our whole family, that you'll never be sorry for what you didn't say.
It's true.
So but you're right. I mean, how you say it and how you do what you do is key.
There's a classic story of a rabbi who's at a cemetery, and at the end of a funeral, one of the mourners is still standing there crying and crying and crying. And the rabbi went over, I think I could see on some of your faces, you've heard this before. And the rabbi said, talk to me. And he said, I almost told her I loved her, but I never did. So never have those regrets. Just tell people. Debbie Green.
It's not only what you say or how you say it, some of it also depends on who you're hearing something from, who is saying it. It makes a difference.
True.
There's a difference.
Not only who's saying it and the context of it being said, and
Right.
Who's around when it's being said. And there's so much that goes into communication and relationships.
And sometimes it's not just how it's said, but it's how we interpret it. The inferences we make from what we hear. Something could be said perfectly innocently, and we may take it the wrong way. So that's another pitfall that we have to watch out for.
It's Toby. This goes to kind of what Debbie said. Also, to be really careful of what you write in an email, because an email can't figure out nuance. So before you hit that send button, go over it several times to make sure that you're not being snarky, or you're not being nasty, or you're not being glib, and that you're actually saying what you want to say, and that it will be taken in the right way.
Right. And
Or
express,
add on to that, if you're emotional or upset, wait 24 hours before you send an email because you may change your mind.
and also the way someone's facial expressions too. And especially in this world of Zoom, if you think about it, we're all on the computer with each other, but we have no idea what's going on in the rest of everyone's houses. So I've been on calls where people will start making faces and I'm like, what just happened? And they're not making a face at what's going on the camera. It's all the distractions in their house that is getting them worried and upset. So you can't infer everything either. I think there was one other person, Marlene.
Yes, to piggyback on both what Debbie, Toby, and Debbie said, the challenge of email, not to mention of text, is that you lose those critical additional communication cues. You're losing the body language, you're losing inflection, you're losing sarcasm, you're losing humor, you're losing eye contact. My mother's second husband, my late stepfather of blessed memory, said, Marlene, if you ever have the opportunity to choose between a phone call and an email or a text, I urge you to pick up the phone. And he was very right. So we, in the name of efficiency and haste and expediency, sometimes we want to get something out and it's done on our to-do list. But unlike Zoom, where we're here, we can hear, see, watch, listen, and infer. The written communications give us a lot less tools and effectiveness.
And I have to agree. And I can't, when you send something on your email, you better reread it a dozen times. My spell check often changes words without my even knowing it until I get a reply back and somebody says, what do you mean by such and such? And it's out there already and I'm stuck. So you have to reread everything before you push send.
Very true. And also if you dictate it, it often, Siri doesn't get it right all the time. Corinne, and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay, two things. So first of all, building on what the other said, be very careful with email. I will never forget when my two sister-in-laws emailed each other about me, but by mistake pressed me. So I saw the emails that they'd written about me. So that was revealing. And then the other thing is Lashon Hara, I think that's what you call it, rumor mongering. That relates to what Rabbi said about talking ill about people. You know, if you can't say something nice, rather don't say it, is how I think. And, you know, rumors are not always true, and we've got to be very careful in terms of starting them and spreading them.
Okay. Rabbi?
Yes.
There, last night, Sue Gerlin did a wonderful exercise in the Rosh Chodesh program where we went into breakout rooms of 2, and each of us were to speak for 3 minutes straight with the other one doing active listening about how we went from the narrow places into freedom, how the pandemic affected us. But the most important message of that for this discussion is that it's not just the words, but it's how we accept the words from others. And we say a lot with the way we listen.
Very true. Very, very true. And if I can just wrap up with one comment about that, that we're doing holy work when we're talking to people and when we're listening to people, that we're being present at that moment of listening and reading and corresponding with each other. And if you think about this Mishnah, it's all about how God spoke. And if we're then created in God's image, when we listen and speak and do both, remember we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so do a lot of listening. We're doing God's work. We're God's partners in this creation that God started with the 10 utterances. So we'll carry on tomorrow with 10 more and see what they have in store for us. So Toby Holtzman.
In loving memory, we recall Sylvia Krauss, Herb Lubars, Ellen Babbitt, Theodore Fishman, Lillian Tobias, Doris Hildebrandt, Ruth Lewis Bloomfield, Michael Klingbaum, Michael Schrank, Shirley Shapiro, Carol Hope Taub, David Levy, Bernard Stein, Gloria Miller, Roz Pavan, Grace Rosabi, Louis Abbey. May their memories always be a blessing.
Thank you, Toby. And if anyone has any names of any loved ones who have a yurt site or anyone who recently passed, you can share those names at this time as we will be rising and unmuting ourselves to recite the Mourner's Kaddish together. Yitzgadal, Yitzgash, Mei, Rabba, Amen. Pirkei, Yamim, Chayeshon,
Yomechon, Chaye, Kol, Yisrael,
Ba'adalah,
Man,
Riv,
Ru, Amen. Hey,
Rabba, Barak,
Barak,
Shalom,
Shalom, Omed, Amaya,
Yitbarach,
Yeshua,
Yitzhar,
Amam, Yaseh,
Yitzhar,
Yitzhak,
Yitzhak,
Halal, Hey,
Kedusha,
Kif,
Le'elah,
Men,
O, Birchata,
Shirata,
Tushkata,
Nehemata,
Damiran, Yalma,
Imru,
Amen.
Amen.
Hey,
Lama,
Rabba,
Maya,
Shemaya,
Chaim,
Chaim,
Alenu,
Israel,
Amen.
Amen.
Oseh,
Shalom, Ramah, Yaseh,
Alenu,
Alenu,
Yalpo, Rael,
Imru, Amen.
So I hope that if you didn't see yesterday's service, that you can watch it on our Facebook stream. And a few of us that shared it, feel free to share it on your own Facebook. And I think there are ways to get on Facebook even if you don't have an account. And we are going to work on putting the slides up on our website of the prayers that we said yesterday. And thank you for everyone who participated. Debbie, all you.
Thank you, Rabbi. So it seems, let me just make this a little louder. It's unbelievable, but we are in full spring conference mode. I feel like the year just started. I know the year went slowly for many of us and fast for others, but we are really getting ready for all the spring conferences in the 13 regions. We have meetings regularly with the consultants that are going out and the region presidents, and they are happening and they're going to be wonderful. They're all going to be on Zoom, every one of them. No one is having an in-person spring conference. Hopefully by next year we'll be able to do that, but this year they're all going to be virtual. I know that there's a lot of planning going on. Speak to your region president, speak to your conference chair if you'd like to be involved in some way. Thursday night, we have a wonderful program under our personal conversations umbrella, and it's about organ donation. I encourage all of you to get on. Registration is in the Women's League Week, which came out earlier today, I believe. And please register. Please support the people who work very hard to provide these kinds of programs. And not only should you get on, but you should share it with your sisterhood members and everyone who's a member of Women's League that you might know outside your sisterhood. But it's really important that we have people get on these programs. A lot of work, a lot of hard work goes into the planning of them. And as Rabbi said yesterday in Jews and Comedy, we had 355 women get on. And that's really satisfying for Lois, who works really hard to provide that program. Vivian Lieber is in charge of personal conversations, and she has been working on this for almost 6 months, this particular program. So I would encourage all of you to register and get on. And again, if you have a conflict and you can't get on, please take a look at the video that's on the website. A lot of our programs, the videos are on the website. You can see them again. And that's because we know that our members are very busy, engaged women and have lots of other activities. So I would encourage you to get on Thursday night. It's going to be a wonderful program, and please share it. If you have a sisterhood Facebook page, share it on that. If you have a sisterhood hard copy newsletter that goes out, you might want to be able to share some of that information. If you have a sisterhood Facebook, for those of you that are region presidents that are on, please put it on your region newsletter. These programs are really important. And did you write this about Rabbi Dorff, Rabbi? I only see Margie Miller wrote it. Oh, Margie wrote it. Yep. One of the speakers is Rabbi Elliot Dorff. And if you've never heard him, you don't want to miss this opportunity. He, as I said,
Debbie?
I think yesterday, hold on one second. As I said yesterday, he's world-renowned expert on medical ethics and Judaism. Okay, somebody said it.
Debbie? Yeah,
Yes.
Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Yeah, I ditto that. You do not want to miss Rabbi Dorff or the doctor that's speaking. And I know how close this is to your heart. I'm speaking from a personal perspective as an organ recipient, but I want to add also today is my 15th anniversary of my transplant.
Wow.
And you'll hear on Thursday night that I had a living donor from my sisterhood, who also wrote a piece for Thursday evening.
Right. And that's why Jeanette is part of this program Thursday night. So, you know, please get on. And not only just to support Vivian, who does a great job on these programs, and Jeanette, who's going to be speaking, but also because this is what we do. And so I would love to have you share this and have everybody, we have a Zoom line of 1,000 people. So you can't scare us. Get them all on. Yes, Rita.
Hi. I also said something about Rabbi Dorff because he's so wonderful, but
oh, I did. I see this. It says learning from him is a privilege.
I wanted to know, I signed up last month and tried to get on February 18th because I wasn't reading it right. And I was like the only one there. And I was like, what happened here? And then I reread it. You talk about reading things, but will they resend the Zoom? Will Razel or somebody resend the Zoom because they signed up?
Yeah, we're trying very hard now to send that the day before.
Or the day of.
The day of or the day before. So look for it. Yes, it will come out.
Okay.
And that's why it's important to register, because you will have that opportunity to get the link sent to you right beforehand. So.
Good.
Okay. All right. Everybody have a great day. Maddie, did you want to say something? I see you waving your hand.
I calendared Beit Midrash Chizuk for tonight. Does anybody know what this is? Okay, thank you.
Put it into Rabbi Google and see what comes up.
I think it's
It might be JTS.
I think it's a JTS program, and the chancellor is speaking, and it's a seminar, part of a seminar, and the chancellor speaking.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
Can we put the Thursday evenings program on the Women's League Facebook site and make it shareable?
The whole program?
Oh, the thing for Thursday, the personal conversation for
You
Thursday
mean
night.
the link or the program itself, or the link?
The link. I was trying to find it to do
so
that.
Here's the problem with that, Jeanette, is that then we have people who are not Women's League members who use the link and get on, as we had yesterday in Jews and Comedy. I counted, there were about 50 people on there who were not Women's League members. So we have to be careful about that, because, you know, one of the benefits you get for paying your dues is being able to learn with Women's League and study with these kinds of programs and have the opportunity to hear them. So we can put, maybe Rabbi, can we put the registration button where someone can register? Can we do that on Facebook?
We possibly could. But
all right, we'll check into that.
Doesn't
Jeanette.
guarantee that the people registering are members of Women's League, and we can't because we don't.
I'll email it.
We don't want Zoom bombing also.
So if you have certain people in your family that you want to see the program, Jeanette, what you should do is email them the link and let me know their names so that we don't remove them.
No, okay. I'm more interested in seeing people hear about the need to register as organ donors. My family's heard the story.